Hey guys, welcome to the channel for what's really a different video, kind of a first for myself. I'm going to be reviewing and giving my takes, some ratings on the 2022 NASCAR liveries. As a graphic designer, as a livery designer, as a branding designer, I understand a lot that goes into it. I don't understand all of it. I will be wrong more than likely about some stuff. But I just want to give my takes and kind of explain why I think some things are the way they are, and just kind of really just go through them because I enjoy it as a kid, going and refreshing any website I could, trying to find the new Jeff Gordon paint scheme or whatever. That was always fun for me. So kind of going through these is a little nostalgic for me, even though it is new content. This video, I will shoot it more. It's going to be more like a live stream fashion. I'm not going to cut it up a bunch. This is actually filmed after I started because I screwed up the intro. So keep in mind, a lot of this is opinion based. I will point out, like, if I think like the brand or the corporation was really overbearing with how the car looks, which makes sense because they gotta do it. They spend millions on their branding, they got to make it look right. Most of the images I've got are all from jski.com. If you're a NASCAR fan, you know who that is. They're the most up to date usually. Some of the images I pulled from Twitter just because maybe better resolution was available. But yeah, we'll jump right into the video, and we'll jump right into the first car, which is a Ross Chastain. This is the Howler's Head. I believe I'm looking. It'll look weird when I look down, but it's the bourbon car, or Howler's Head bourbon. I'm not sure what it's called. This was one of those ones where I like it, but I don't know if the branding really works with a NASCAR car. It looks really good from a design standpoint, but I'm not sure if it's NASCAR, if that makes sense. With NASCAR liveries or paint schemes, the good ones, it's when there's a little bit less corporate control. And that'll probably be something I mentioned a few times, when they can really get creative with it. But I definitely understand why the company would need to step in for something like this. It probably matches whatever their packaging is, and for that's really good. But I think we only get to see this one at the Clash, and that's already happened. So I doubt we're going to see this car again. But you never know. The second one I got here, this is the Advent Health car that he's running, I think, for the Daytona 500. This one I really like. The way that it kind of flows, the addition of the watermelon. I think it pops really well. There's a lot of dark liveries or paint schemes. I'm just going to call them liveries because fancy, I don't know. But this one looks really good. I hope we see this one more than just the Daytona 500. I love the addition of the watermelon. I love the branding and the number 1 that Trackhouse does to kind of match what they do between the two cars, and I believe it's in their logo too. You can kind of see the little slash on the front fender there. I like this one. I don't want to rate all of them, but I'd probably say this one's a good 7 out of 10. And that I'd rate anything over a 6 out of 10 as something that's pretty good, because once you get to bad, it kind of just drops really quickly. So yeah, I like this one. I hope to see this one on track more than just the Daytona 500. All right, we will go on to the next one. So this is the 2 car for Childress and Xfinity. This one's fairly straightforward. It fits the car. It fits the branding. The Whelan's always had that branding. I think it's solid. Although it's boring, it's that look that brand's always had. And when you have a defined brand for your car, you don't really want to mess with that. All right, where we got now? All right, so we're on to the 2 car for Penske. This one's pretty. I mean, what else can you really say about this one? The number placement's perfect. They used all the space up perfect. I think the only mistake they made on this livery, and this is more of something that was probably decided by the company themselves and not a designing standpoint, is I don't think the Freightliner logo is on there enough. It's only on the hood. It's split up by all the hood vents. I just don't think that, personally, myself as a designer, I think you should have your main name on there, maybe a little bit more. That way people know what it is, because I was talking to a buddy that I race with, and they didn't know that it was a Freightliner car. And you kind of lose that. And if they're electric trucks, if that's what they want, and that's the branding they're going with, I get that. But overall, this car looks absolutely fantastic. I'm not a huge Cindric fan or really a Penske fan at most, so like this isn't a diecast that I'd buy because of the driver. But I really, I'd say this one's definitely a 9 out of 10. Not a 10 out of 10 because of the branding stuff. So we have the discount tire one. Honestly, this is Penske. Penske is very particular about some of their designs. I think this one is what it is. It looks good. It's always going to look good, but it's never going to be like, oh wow, look at that discount tire car. I think it looks good overall. 6 out of 10-ish in that range. But I don't think it's anything really to write home about. I do like how they utilize the extra door space, where they move the tire part of the logo down. But other than that, they really didn't change anything. They just slid the number forward. Onto his Menard's car. Kind of the same thing here. They didn't really change much with this car. They utilized the space well. I think the stripe over the fender, like that Menard stripe over the fender, and then having it under the logo itself, I think that's a little redundant. If I could redo it, I would almost do like the entire Menard stripe coming from down underneath the two under the entire logo and tie the whole thing together. But you know, brands are brands and they like what they like. So overall, it's decent though. And then I think I just have one more photo of that. Yeah, just one more photo of that. All right, so on to the 3 car now. For Childress, I believe this is the Cup car. I'd say this one's pretty solid. Bash Pro Shops used the space provided really well, making that logo nice and big. They kind of did the same thing in Truex's car that we'll see. I'm not really a fan of like that whole 50th anniversary thing on the hood. It's just a little gaudy to me. I think it's a little tacky, and it doesn't really fit in with the branding. I understand it's probably a big deal to them, but from just a paint scheme standpoint, it's just cluttered. I don't really like it. But overall, I think this one's pretty solid, probably in the 7 out of 10 range. And we'll go on to the next one here. This is, I don't know if this is his primary. I haven't seen, Dow is still on the car, so maybe we'll get another black and white one again. This is one he had at the Clash. This one looks good. There's not really anything that's really sticks out about it other than I like that the number is red instead of white. And I like how they used the extra space on the door for the logo. And they also, and this is one thing that I've done with the ones that I've designed for clients of mine on iRacing, is when they use the logo on the hood, but they shrunk the shield just so it's underneath in between the vents. I think that really helps the visibility. The hoods on a Cup car now aren't really the most pretty thing in the world. As a whole package, the cars look great, but they don't really allow for the sponsors to look good because there's so many slots and different channels in the bodywork to match the real life cars. Go on to the 4 car for for Stewart-Haas, Mr. Kevin Harvick, and excuse the door being pushed shut by my foot. The cat's being annoying. First off, this is the first SHR car. Whoever does their rendering on their team, I love you. It looks... I love their renders. They're maybe a little bit too, like, reflective looking or a little bit too glossed out. But for, like, a poster or a print, or, like, the postcard look they're going for here, these look awesome. I love what they did with these renders over at Stewart-Haas. Still can't get the door shut. So this one, this is the Ream Car. I don't know how many times he's running this one. It's pretty standard. A lot of the Stewart-Haas cars have this, or at least the Harvick cars for sure, have that little slat, that little trapezoidal shape up and around the Busch Light logo. They did a really good job with the space. I wish there was a little bit more space between the number 4 and the Ream logo. That's more just a personal preference. But they made that Ream logo really big, or the Ream.com logo really big over the tire arch, which is really nice, which is what I'm going to say I don't like about the one that Christopher Bell is running later. That's just empty. But this one looks really good. Red, white, and black cars are super common in racing, and I'm a little bored of them. So personally, I'd give this one like a 7 out of 10. But as far as utilizing the new space, they did a really good job. The Busch car, nothing's really changed on this one. My biggest complaint about this car, the car overall is probably like a 7 or an 8 out of 10. It just looks like the Busch can. My biggest gripe with this is the Mobil 1 logo. Like, it just kind of gets lost in that grayish blue. They really should have went with just a solid white logo. I don't understand why a company as big as Mobil would want their branding to kind of be washed out like that. So maybe the one that shows up on track won't actually look like that, but overall it's good. I just think it could be a little bit better. The Mobil car, this one is one of my favorites this year, actually. It's got the Pegasus on it, like the Mobil cars back in like the early 2000s that Jeremy Mayfield drove before he went on his whole adventure. This one, it's plain, it's simple, and in this case it really works. I think it complements the branding of Mobil, and all the space is used really well. I'd say I'd give this one probably a high 8, low 9 out of 10. There's nothing that's like, holy crap, this is awesome, but it's solid. It's going to look good every time it's on the track. And I like this one. Hunt Brothers one, you can't really see it all that much, based on the rendering that they put out. Overall, it's a great rendering or a postcard, whatever. I'm sure they use these in their in their promotional stuff when they do autographs and signings and stuff. I think this one looks really good. They use the space up really well. There's nothing that really pops about it. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Busch logo might look a little awkward over the fender, but I mean, you got to work with what you have sometimes with branding, and I think overall they did a decent job on this one. I'd probably only give it a 6 out of 10, but it's good nonetheless. It does the job. We're going to try to kick the door closed one more time. I missed again. It'll be back in a second. The drafty house. Onto the gear wrench car. This one, this is a good one. I really like how the orange looks. I don't know if it'll look like that on track, if it's going to have that like kind of polished matte look to it, or polished gloss, with a, I don't know. It's kind of I'm thinking of like in like a spec mapping way how we would do it for like a livery on a car on iRacing. But this one looks really good. They used all the space really, really well. I think the only thing that bothers me is that the Busch Light logo just looks really lonely within the little circle there. I think using the Busch logo and filling up that area would look a little bit better. or even like throw in like some pictures of like the gear wrench tools. But that's a small gripe. That's one of those decisions that was made by the branding or by in a boardroom or whatever. So I really like how this one looks. I'd say this one's probably my first like solid 9 out of 10. I don't think I've given that out yet. Now we're going to the 5 car for Hendrick. I don't know. It's that Ricky Hendrick tribute. It's a good looking car. It's kind of like that Mobile 1 car for Harvick, where it's just going to look good every time it's on the track, but there's not really anything that really excites me about it. I hate the Chevy bow tie on the nose above the grill, above the other Chevy logo. They've taken those off now, so I won't kind of factor that into my overall feeling of this car. I'd give this one probably like a 7 out of 10. It's solid. I like the day-night thing they're doing with Larson's suits for the year. I don't have a picture of that, but I like what they're doing there. And overall, just they did a solid job. They used the space well. And we're going to see this car in Victory Lane probably about 10 times again this year. So we better get used to seeing it. On to Fenway Keslowski. In a lot of these matches, so I might not do the separate Busher ones when we get there. This Castrol car, I didn't actually take much of a look at this one when I was saving, because I was just going through and saving everything. I think this looks fantastic. They did a good job of, when you use red and green like this, it's really easy to make a car look like it's Christmassy and Santa threw up all over it. They did a good job breaking that up with the little ghosted darker lines within the green and the red, and with the white breaking it apart in between. These are solid, probably, I'm going to say 8 out of 10 a lot, but I think these are just, they're good, and I think that green is going to pop on the track. I want to see one of these at night. They're probably only going to run once or twice, but I want to see one of these at night. This is the Fastenal car. Actually, I got another picture of that one in a second here, so I'm actually going to skip over this. The Kohler car. This one, while it's one of those ones where nothing really jumps out at me, but from a design aspect, everything on this car is just right. I really like how they did these. You can't really see the number, but the number placement's really good. The branding's big and bold, and it's really there. I love the matte finish. Excuse me. And I actually based the color palette on this was actually used for a client of mine, and they really liked it. I really enjoy this paint. I think I'd give this one probably another 9 out of 10, maybe an 8.5 out of 10. It's something I really enjoyed as a designer, just the way they did it. But there's nothing really extravagant about it. The Fastenal cars. These renders do not do this thing justice. I think these cars look fantastic. They might be my favorites so far this year. I'm toying on. I want to get at least like one next gen diecast. I've jumped in more of the IndyCar and F1 diecast recently, but I might have to get this one. The Keselowski version of it. I just think it looks so good. The way that they've incorporated the Fastenal branding, the reflective numbers. This is one of those ones that pops out at me like that's a good design. There's a little bit of empty space over the rear tire and in the back and the quarter panels, but I mean the base design on the car is just good enough, in my opinion, to where it can afford to have some empty areas and still look good. And then last for Keselowski, we got this violet defense car. It's really tough for me, being a Minnesotan, to see these colors and not think the Minnesota Vikings and just think disappointment and just utter dread. So I'm going to put that aside. I think this car looks fantastic. The yellow really pops. I honestly, in that 8 out of 10 range for me. I think there's a couple little little things that I would change on it. I think they should do the chrome purple over the entire car. I think that'd look really good. I don't know if NASCAR allows that, so I'm not gonna like hate on it for that. But this one's really good. I really like this one. I hope we see this one more than just the Clash. It is a really good looking car. Probably one of the better ones this year for sure. We'll go next here. We are at 7 cars, so this is the Xfinity car. I can never get over. This is Allgaier's car, obviously. You see it on the screen there. I don't like it. I really don't like it. When this car, if they did, like, I'm trying to filter my words here and to try to find something I like about it. I just don't like the corn in the background of the yellow. I think that really ruins it. I know they're a farming company and that's exactly what they're meant to do. But there's a point to where it's just a little bit too much. I think if it was just like that solid yellow orange, it'd look great. But there's just that little hang up of this livery that I can't get over. So I probably give that one like a 5 or a 6. Unilever Car. This really isn't a great render. It's more so kind of pulled right out of Illustrator or Photoshop. So I'm not gonna give this one a rating just because it's kind of bland and there's not like an on-track rating of it. They did a good job with it. It looks like they got the branding in that Unilever wanted, and it looks like it's for Adopt a Soldier. So I'm guessing that's a soldier's charity. So great cause on the car, but this render, there's nothing that really pops out at me that makes it all that exciting. Jumping over into the next one here. Spire. So this is the Nation's Guard car. I think they used this one at the Clash. Yep, Clash right in the title there. It doesn't really look different than the Nation's Guard's car last year. I think this one looks really good. I like how they utilized the space with the logo, and they tilted it a little bit. They also oversized it a little bit. It really flows a lot better when the companies are willing to do that. I like how they worked the shapes around the number. It's like that on the other side, but kind of flipped. This one, I like this one. I'd say this was probably a good 7 out of 10. Sorry, I'm just looking for my water here. And yeah, I think it's great. I think it looks really good. I like how Spire last year they did all their contingencies down the side under the Cup Series logo. Obviously, you can't do that with the number move forward, but I really like how they clustered everything together at the bottom there. I think that as a designer, that organization is something that that I like. All right. On to, don't know how to pronounce this one. Is it Shuttler Systems? I'm not sure. I like this one and I don't like this one. My mind changes every time I look at it. I really like the orange. It really pops. The only thing I don't like about it, and this is less of, it's more of a branding issue to me than a paint scheme issue. But like the logo on the hood doesn't really match the logo that's on the side of the car. And in my head, as a designer, that kind of irks me. But the designer has to work with what they have, and I think overall they did a good job. I think this is probably just the render. You could see the line going through the number 7 of where like the body detaches. I think it's usually best to try and keep it as far back as possible. I don't think... So this one has it, but it's a little bit further back. I think the numbers may be a little too far up on the door on this one. But they got their brand in there. They got that money's worth for the brand. So I think they did a pretty solid job. Going on to the 8 car for Josh Berry. This was like the first one that came out. It looks good. I don't know what Harrison's is. It looks like they probably sell like industrial like work equipment or something like that. It looks good. It doesn't look great. I don't really like that teal color. I don't know. It doesn't work as like a primary color of the car for me. But I probably give it like a 6 out of 10. It doesn't look bad. It's just not something that not really exciting, I guess. Tire Pros car for Josh. I think this is his title sponsor for the year. This one I really like. I really like this car. I know I said the white, red, and black, it gets a little old. But when it's done right, it's always going to look good. I don't really think there's anything that I would change on this one. I think I'd probably give this one an 8 out of 10. The number font's great. It pops really well. I would assume that the base of the car is going to be matte, and all the logos will have that little bit of a gloss finish to them. So I think this one's gonna look good on track. I'm excited to see this one on track. Hopefully he does well this season. I like Josh. To the next one. All right, we are on to Tyler Reddick. I like this car. There's like the first time I saw the picture of this one, I just liked it. I know that it took them a long time to get the sponsor approved because it is a cannabis company. 3 Cheese logo actually is basically like a gold pot leaf. So obviously they can't have that in the car. It's still a narcotic. But this paint looks really good. This is one that I might actually get a diecast of, just because of the way that it's put together. It's simple, but yet it has the little bit of the chrome accents and the gold accents on it. I don't know. I just look at this one and I just like it. It's gonna be one that I like every time. It is a little plain compared to some of the other ones, but the way the Camaro's body is, I think that sharper, angular, straight to the point look on the cars look a little bit better. The Cheddar's car, I don't know. It's not fantastic by any means. I'm glad they don't race this one very much. The part that I like about it is, like, I think those are croissants in the background. I would assume they're croissants. I think it looks good. It's just nothing really pops out at me. They use the extra space for the branding well, but it's just kind of there. Okay, on to Chase Elliott. I don't know what's up with the render on this. It looks like it was like released as the wrong file, honestly, because I know that's not what the actual car looks like. I've seen a different picture, so we'll ignore that for now. Overall, I'd say this one's okay. The branding looks really good. The number placement's really good, but I don't know. It's just something about that color against the white. I think it needs a little bit more contrast between it. I think if this car was black with the with white accents with the green or teal, whatever you want to call it, I think it'd look a lot better. But I think probably a 5 or 6 out of 10 for this one. There's nothing very special about it. It's very corporate looking to me. I think they'd benefit from kind of flipping the black and the white around. I think that one, it would be really good if they did that. The Hooters car, I don't know. This one might be like my first like 2 or 3 rating. I just don't like it. I think they tried to be clever and they tried to use up that space and put the owl on the side. To me, it just looks like the car is number 900 and it's really badly done. I don't like the gradients and the steps in the blue. It's not as bad as the black and orange one. I thought that one looked better. But I don't really like how they did this one. There's just nothing. Every time I look at it, there's just something else that annoys me about it. And I think that this one could have a rethink. Onto the Napa car. This one, ignoring the Chevy logo on the nose because they've removed those in real life. I think this one's a solid 8 or 9 out of 10. I don't love the Napa color palette, but the way they incorporated it all together, with the shapes working around the Napa logo and basically how it all just flows together. All the arrows, the hexagon arrows or the points are pointing forward. I think this one's really solid. I think it looks good despite the color palette. That's not my taste, but I do think it looks good. I'm excited to see if they ever do like an invert of it. I think if you flip the blue and the white, you could have the same thing, really, but I think it would complement the yellow piping on the door and up onto the roof. The Lumar car, I don't know what to tell you. This one's just ugly. Really, I think it all stems on the color choice for the number. I don't know why you would do that. It's probably in their branding somewhere, but like, it just doesn't work. You can do one thing that throws off an entire design, and like, I don't think this one looks good. It's got too much empty space. The Lumar logo on the door, while it looks good, it just looks really out of place with the color that they did the number with. So I'd probably give this one a 2. The only redeeming part about it is I kind of like that triangular pattern that they have running through the background, but there's just nothing about this car that it's like I can't talk today. Excites me. On to the 9 car for Junior Motorsports. This is for Noah Gragson. Really, there's no changes here from the 2021 car. I've always enjoyed this car. I like the kind of the fluorescent or bright orange and yellow on it. The Bass Pro Shops looks good on the hood. Black Rifle, I like how they move their logos around a little bit to fit over the wheel arch. I've always thought that looks good. The only thing about this car that I don't really like, and it's like my biggest gripe with it, is I think it's a little too busy. There's way too many logos on the hood. I know everyone's got to get their stake in, but there's just too many logos on the hood. It clutters it up too much. And then you have all this empty space next to the 9 in front of it. Like, you could move I think that says Johnny Morris and the True Camo and the Black Rifle Coffee. You could put those all like little logos on the door, and then you have them twice on each side of the car. I think it just clutters it up too much. I don't want to give this one a rating. The real life car, I'd probably give from last year, I'd probably give a 7 out of 10. But the render it doesn't really give you enough to really get a vibe on the paint. On to the Colleague number 10 car. I believe this is the Xfinity team. Oh, this is the Voyager car for Castle. One of those cryptocurrency sponsors. Hope the check clears. But it's there. There's really nothing on it that's like, holy crap, this looks awesome. It's solid. It gets the branding across. I like the yellow number on the top. It makes those cars easy to see, especially in like the big pack races. And I like how they tilted the logo a little bit over the wheel arch. But other than that, it's a 5 out of 10. 6 out of 10. I'll give it a pass. It's a purple car. All right. Eric Almirola's car. He ran this one at the Clash, and then he got yeeted, for lack of a better term, by Eric Jones. This car, I don't know. This one just doesn't work for me. I think the blue is too bright. I think the white ties in well. But, like, the blue next to the white, like, in front of the number, it's just, there's not enough contrast there. And it kind of just gets lost for me. I'd still give this one, like, a 6 out of 10. I think we're only seeing this one once for the Clash, so I doubt we'll see this one again, but there's nothing special about it. I sometimes feel bad for designers in these instances because they're kind of stuck. They have to deal with the branding, and then they got to be creative with it. There's a lot of boxes designers are put into sometimes, and I think this is one of those ones where they just kind of had to do what they were told by the sponsor. The Smithfield Car, I really like this one. The Smithfield Cars the last couple years have been really good too, but this one in particular, I really like the striping on it. It's a little Penske-esque, but it works with this color palette. The black and white I've always liked on this car. The gold or bronze numbers, I think those look really solid. This one's a good 9 out of 10 for me. I do really like this car. It's a bummer that he's only going to be around for another year, and Smithfield's probably going to go with him from Stewart-Haas. So this is probably the last year we get to appreciate this car and the sponsor. But I think this one looks really good. All right. Now, on to, and actually, I'm going to do this because it is a lot easier. No, I won't. On to Denny Hamlin. I've seen this one on TV already. I know there's a better render picture of it. This is just the one I got off J-Ski. I really like this car. The actual car looks so much better. The render does not, or this isn't even a render. This is an illustration. This car looks great. I really like it. I usually don't like gradients, especially between those two colors. They don't really mesh well in a gradient. But this car on track, it looks good. This one, when it's on track, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. I would give this one a 9.5 or maybe even a 10 out of 10. Just the way they incorporated the branding. They give Sports Clips some spot over the wheel to fill up the area. This one looks really good. I wish I had a better picture of it, but I do really like what they did with this one. And I hope it's time for Denny to get a championship. I mean, he's not everybody's favorite, but he's been on the grind for long enough. Hopefully it gets him to a championship this year. Ryan Blaney, even though I don't really love Penske, he's actually one of my favorite drivers. It's just kind of a bummer that he's on Penske. This car, it's solid. It's like the mobile car on Harvick's for me. It's really solid. It drives the point home for the brand, and I think this car looks great. It's not something that's like a 10 out of 10. I think it's probably more like an 8 or a 9. But as far as branding goes, as far as using the space that NASCAR's given them with opening up the doors, I think it's really good. The Worth car, I think I see what they were going for. I think they missed it, but it's still decent. I'd probably give this one a 6 or a 7, probably a high 6. But, the striping on it between the colors is too small. I think they could honestly make it bigger and have less stripes and get the same point across. But overall, it's not bad. It's not bad in any way. I just think it's maybe a little bit underthought. And then we got the Menard's car. Really, it's got the green hood, other than the black hood on Cindric's car. Pretty boring. I'd do the same thing. I'd move the Menard's stripe from under the number up and over the wheel arch and put the logo on top of it. I don't remember what I rated Cindric's, but I'd probably give this one a 6. And this is, unfortunately, the one we're going to see probably the most this year. But it's a Menard's car. I mean, if they did the full yellow like the Indy cars, I think I'd be a little bit more into it. But trying to mix in the brands and not really change it, like they just kind of plop the green on and call it good. That's kind of my overall issue with it, is that it just doesn't blend very well. But you got to go with what the sponsor wants and what the branding wants, and designers are put in a box in situations like this, I think. On to, we're getting up there. Number 12 for, this is the first truck. There's a certain look in designing for racing, especially for NASCAR, because of its ties to like late model racing and other forms of stock car racing. This one just kind of screams like Saturday night short track to me, and not really in a good way. Like, I don't know, there's just a way to overdo it, and I think it hurts to use a texture on a car that's not like connected at all. Like, I can't tell if it's metal or if it's like graphite or what it's supposed to be. It just doesn't really work. And honestly, the number font is ugly. It's just plain ugly. I would probably give this one like a 2. 2 out of 10. I just don't like it. It looks like I got one more for them. This one's much better. Looks like this was like a hair oil place. I still think the numbers are ugly, but I like the like that hex, that like weathered looking hex pattern behind the number. I think that looks really good. I doubt I'll ever see this one on track because I really don't watch the trucks all that often. But I think they can do a good job with this one. Or I think they did a good job with this one. That makes more sense, doesn't it? All right, so now we're on to AJ Almandinger, the Dinger, the 16 car. I know that he's not the only one driving that car this year, but in my heart he will be. This is the Chevy Landers car. I think this one was at the Clash. This one looks really good. This render doesn't really give you a lot, but I do enjoy this one. I like the colors. Fluorescent yellow or green, whatever you want to call it, looks really good. Excuse me, I think I got a picture of it here. Promo picture they took at the Clash, or at the Coliseum. I think it looks really good. I don't like how like the Chevrolet kind of bumps over in the indents of the hood, but that's not them. That's Chevy deciding they need a hood that's over designed. But yeah, this one I would give it like a solid 8. I do really like this one. It's simple, but it's one of those ones that's gonna pop every time, and it pops for the right reasons. Cure Token. I think Noah Gregson's running this one. It's okay. It's not the best looking car in the world. It gets the job done. I'm really skeptical of all these cryptocurrency sponsors because, crypto. So I hope the check clears, but hopefully this thing looks better on track than it does here. It kind of just reminds me of like a creamsicle, to be honest. It's, I don't know. There's just doesn't have the right vibe to me. I'd probably give this one like a 6 out of 10. It's not terrible. There are good aspects to it. It's just kind of there. On to the 17 car for Fenway Keslowski. And all I have are the same 2 pictures that I talked about. Really the same thing goes here for Chris Buescher's cars. that whole team is going to look great this year. I'm really excited to see everything they come out with. But I talked about that with the Keslowski car, so I'm not really going to go back through all of that. Kyle Busch's car, what did you expect? It's the last year with M&Ms. They weren't going to change anything. I mean, they used all that extra space for the M&Ms. It looks fantastic. I'm excited to see this one on track again. I thought it looked great at the Clash. I think we got the Lionel rendering here next. Yeah, same thing. Solid design. I think the yellow M&M maybe shouldn't have taken front and center on the side of the car. It kind of blends in too much, but the M&M's cars always look good. It's intriguing to the kids to see coming into the sport. It's a brand that everybody knows, and it's a car that's always going to pop out and look decent. I'm only going to give it a 7 out of 10 because it hasn't really changed over the last few years, but overall it does look very good. The number plate looks good. I do really like it. This one, I like this one. This is really good. The lightning, everything. It's really good. The only thing that should be changed on it is the number should be bright red. But I see the theme that they were going for. It's really solid. I'm really excited to see this one on track. I probably won't go to a NASCAR race this year, but I'm really excited to see this one on track and see how Kyle does in it. On to Martin Truex Jr. This is actually the first one that I saw where I saw the number move forward and I saw where they put the sponsors and I thought it looked really good. The way the Bass Pro Shops is dead center on the door, the way they moved around the Tracker, Boats, and ATVs logo to make it fit around the wheel arch, I think it looks really solid. I'd give it an 7 or 8 out of 10. The only thing I don't like about it is I think the swoop that goes up and around the Bash Pro Shops logo, I think it needs to be like even all the way around it. It kind of tightens up a little too much, but that's such a small gripe. I don't think it really takes away from the car all that much. It's a good looking car. It's a solid looking car. It's not too busy like Noah Gregson's Bash Pro Shops car, and the Gibbs designers are usually pretty solid on it, so I like this one. Auto owners, we finally get something different with this car. We've had the boring blue for years. I think this car looks really nice. I like that like pixelated look to it. It's something new. I don't know if it works as well on the hood as it does on the back of the car, but it does. It looks pretty solid nonetheless. I probably only give this one a 7 out of 10. They use the space up really well. The AutoZoners looks great on the side of the car. Bash Pro Shops looks good over the wheel. I don't know what Racers is, but their logo stands out pretty well as well. This was pretty solid, and there's not really a lot to talk about with it because when it's good, it's good. On to Christopher Bell. I've got some gripes with these cars. Sirius XM car. It is what it is. There's nothing too special about it. Nothing's ever going to top the one that Eric Jones had. I think it was 2017, 2018 with the bright yellow number on the side with all the bark blue. That looked really good. They utilized the space really well on this one. The quarter panel is empty. I'm sure they've sold that space by now. But it's pretty standard. Not anything that's going to wow you. So I'd probably give this one like a 7 out of 10, maybe a 6. The DeWalt car, this one, it's a bummer that we've only seen a render. I think he's racing it for the 500, so we will have a chance to see it soon. But I don't think this car is ever going to look bad. I think this is one that's always going to be on screen. It's always going to look good. And I really like how they incorporated the DeWalt branding on the side and with all the logos underneath it as well. I think they probably could have stretched the logo out a little bit, but the little slashes over the fenders, over the wheel wells, I should say, I think those look really good. and I'm excited to see what this one looks like on TV. I didn't really see it much during the duels yesterday night. So we'll see how this one looks. I think it'll look good. It's got a chrome number on the door. If it looks as good as I think it's gonna look on TV, I'm gonna give this one a 9. But this one's just a render, so grain of salt. The Ream Car. Told you I was gonna bitch about this one. Look at all the empty space over the rear wheel. I mean, dude, you could park an entire Joey Logano forehead on that rear quarter panel. It's just bleh. And that's really all I have to say about this one is bleh. The chrome numbers might look cool on the side, but they showed with this brand on Kevin Harvick's car that it can look good. I don't understand why they don't have Ream.com on the side over the wheel. They're probably trying to sell it to another sponsor, but yeah. Bleh. And last but not least, it's another look at the SiriusXM car. It shows the whole thing. I think this is the one that they used at the Clash. I do like the bit on the hood, but we've talked about this one a little bit already. We're gonna go to the 20 car for the the 20 truck for the truck series. I don't know. This team, I just don't like their number font. It just looks dumb. It looks cartoony. It looks like something in the iRacing paint shop that you'll get by default. It just looks bad. Same with it squished on the hood or on the roof. I don't like that. Other than that, the base design is solid. But like I said before, when the one thing's wrong, it kind of just messes up the entire car, and it just doesn't vibe for me. On to the 21 car for Childress. I think this is their Xfinity car for Austin Hill. Their renders for these kind of suck. I mean, you can only really see the top. So I'm just going to kind of just say good job and 6 out of 10. I mean, there's not really much to see from the top sides of these cars. The branding all looks good. I think... I don't know. There's just not enough here to really say these look good or bad. Typically, the 21 car, most Childress cars look pretty solid, so it's not something I'm really all that worried about. Then we got the Wood Brothers car that Harrison Burton's driving this year. Now that dog food crazy dude is out of the car. I think I understand why they want to go with this classic look. But there's a time when the classic look just doesn't work on a car anymore. Because the car is not shaped like a box or a wedge like it was in the 70s and 80s. I don't think this looks good. I think I've seen it on TV. The chrome gold number on the door looks great. But like the Ford Motorcraft logo moved down like that, it's just so blank. It's so empty. I think there's a lot more they could do with this. Like the Ford Motorcraft cars that Ricky Rudd drove. I think something like that would work a lot better here. But this looks just too dated. It doesn't work anymore. The car's got too much curvature in them. The lines just look jagged over the bits of the car. It's time for them to change it. And hopefully they do it soon. The Dex car, this shows that they can make a car look good in 2022. So I don't know what they're doing. By the way, and it's going to be unpopular. That's a 4 out of 10. I can't give it any higher than that. This one, it's a red, black, and white car, like a ton of them that we've seen. There's not a lot on it that really excites me, but it is a solid paint scheme. The branding and how they put it on the door and over the wheel well, it looks really good. So I'm going to give it like a 6, but it's not fantastic. It's not something that when I look at it, I'm going to buy the die cast because it just looks cool. Um, on to the blocker man himself. Dude, this car's so boring. I know for a fact that Pennzoil and especially Shell, they are so strict about their branding. So it makes sense why it looks like this. That's also why like the Shell logo is always in color on like the Ferrari, even though it doesn't always match on the F1 cars. It's because you can't manipulate their branding at all. They send it to you, and that's what you use. That's the rule with Shell. It's just boring, dude. It looks phoned in. It's not good. For transparency, I don't like Joey either. But the that clamshell look that they had last year with the stripes, I think they probably could have somehow done that. It just doesn't look like they really did much on this. It's just plain. This is a 1. This is a 1 out of 10. I don't like it. The AAA car, the one on the top, I think looks great. As far as their branding goes, these cars don't really ever get that imaginative. Asking a Penske designer to think outside the box sometimes, especially with these sponsors they've had forever, it's like asking my cat not to be a dumbass. It's just they're gonna pump out the same thing over and over, and this isn't on the design. I should say this isn't on the designer either. This is on the branding. This is on the standards that those branding guides have, what the team wants, and I know Penske's pretty particular about how their cars look too. But this is the top one's okay. The bottom one, you got all that empty space. You got to try a little harder than that. That's just bleh. I think the top one, I'd probably give that like a 5 or a 6. It's a 6. The bottom one, maybe a 3. And it's not really even the other design. It's just the way they did the logos. I don't like how they sorted the logos. It makes the car look unfinished. And when you're spending millions and millions and millions to sponsor a race car, you'd think AAA would want their car to look finished. And they didn't really achieve that here. On to Bubba. Onto the DoorDash car. He ran this at the Clash. I think it looks good. It's one of those black, white, and red paints that this one actually did stand out a little bit to me. The more I look at it, the more little things bother me, and that's only because I think the brand or the corporate whatever stepped in too much on this car. I think the DoorDash written needs to be a lot bigger. I guarantee they didn't want a shape going behind it, and that's why it is the way it is. I do know that this is the shot from the actual Clash. And it's a good-looking car. It's just kind of just falls into that same category as like a couple of the other red and white and black cars that I've seen. It's just kind of blah. But it's still solid. It's still going to look decent every time it's on the track. The Lido scheme, I think this looks good, but I want to see it on track before I really form an opinion on it. Right in it here, I think the render, it looks solid, but there's just not enough there. I think those colors will pop a lot more in real life. I also don't think that logo is big enough on the side of the car. They've got so much room in there to utilize, and I think they should really be using all that room. And I've also noticed that my webcam has decided that we are in slow-mo mode. So there it's speeding up, it's speeding up, it's speeding up, it's speeding up. All right. But yeah, this one, I don't really want to rate it since it's not on track yet. And it's just a render. And I'm not really sure about it, but it looks solid. There's just some things that I think could probably be reviewed, maybe revised. And one thing we got to remember with these renders is when it hits the track, it might look completely different. They do these things so far in advance that sometimes things evolve. All right, so we're back here with William Byron's paint for 2022, his stuff. So I had to make a cut there. There was having a computer issue. But we got it all figured out. So with this, I've never liked this Axalta paint. I've never thought it looked good. I've never thought it looked bad. It's just kind of always been there. It feels like it's trying to be a little too much, and not enough at the same time. It's just very odd to me. I think they could have used up the space a little bit better. Obviously, we know that they took that Chevy logo off the nose. But this paint's always just been like a 6 out of 10 for me. It really doesn't do it for me. It makes sense that they try to move away from like the Jeff Gordon look for the 24 car, but it's when something works, why change it? You know, this was never done it for me, and I just don't like this one. I don't like how the black splits up the colors too much, and how they have like the extra line in between that's a different color of black. It's just kind of just meh. On to the next one. This car is an absolute disaster. This one, it's got racing stripes, it's got flames, it's got line work, it's all over the place. And on top of that, I mean, Liberty just sucks. So, I don't need to get into why Liberty sucks, but Liberty is just a bad university school business. Crazy people run it, whatever you want to say. But yeah, this car is just bad. This, honestly, if I can give it a 0, it's a 0 out of 10. I'll give it a 1. Someone next door is being loud. Thank you. But yeah, this just looks bad. I hope they change it before it goes on track. There's just too much going on. And then the Valvoline car, I really like this one. It's solid. It's kind of like the mobile car. It's not as good as the mobile car for me for Kevin Harvick, but it is a good use of the space. I like how the design kind of has that forward flow to it. This is probably the best car that they have for the 24 car at the moment. And I'd only really give this one like a 6 out of 10. So, I don't know. The Hendrick designers, other than Elliott's car, they're kind of lacking this year. So, maybe after like a season of adjusting to the way these new cars look, maybe they'll improve. But nothing really good going on here. On to the 26. Ooh, I haven't seen this one. So it looks pretty good. I'm not crazy about the number font, but I like how that gold or bronze kind of blends into it. It's just a solid. It's just really solid. It's one of those ones that's just gonna look good every time it's on track. I hope it actually looks like that when it's on track. I'd give that one a 7 or an 8 out of 10. I think this one looks really good. And most of the stuff on the Supras look good anyway. So, number 27 car. This is an Xfinity car. This render is in the iRacing car viewer. So, lighting sucks, but I think it looks good. It's for Jeb Burton. It looks a lot like the car his dad drove, and I appreciate that. I think that orange will probably be fluorescent on the car in real life, and I think that'll look really good. But there's really not enough here from this iRacing render, so I'm not really going to tear it apart too much. There are some bits on it that don't line up, it's not what it's going to look like on racetrack, and I know that. So I'd say it's solid. It's not good. It's not bad. But I think it's going to look way better on the track than it does here. I can almost guarantee that just by the general idea of what's going on. The Alsco car, meh. All right. If you can hear the cat, I'm sorry. 31 for Jordan Anderson. This team always has good-looking cars, so it's a bummer that this is the only picture of this one that we have so far. But I like this one. I think the gray works really well. I just noticed the little bits inside of the red, like the little lines on like the shape of a star. I think that looks really good. This car looks solid on track. The tax layer cars have always looked good. I'd give this one probably a 7 out of 10. It's pretty solid. I do like this one. On to the home stretch here. 34 car for Mcdowell. Another iRacing paint viewer picture. I think this one looks good. I like the blue and the orange. I don't know if I do it in the order that they did it, but I can see what they're getting at, and I do really like this car. Excuse me. I'd probably give this car a 7 out of 10 again. I think, again, it's in the iRacing car viewer. You can't really get a good feel about it because the colors are so dulled out. But I bet this car will look a lot better in person. But it looks good enough here, I think, to where you can give it a fair rating. The Love's car this year. This one was a really pleasant surprise. They didn't really change a lot from what they had last year, other than the obvious of the door moving, or the door moving forward, the number moving forward. But they really utilized that space really well for the Love's logo. This is one that's going to look great every time we see it. And Michael Mcdowell is just one of those guys that seems really cool. So, like, I always kind of check in on how he's doing, and it's cool that the car looks good as well. I'd give this one a 9 out of 10. It does have some boring aspects to it, but when it comes to tying in an entire brand to a race car, I think they did a really good job. And I think that's just the render for it. On to Gase Motorsports. This is a new team, I believe. I think this is just like a show car picture, something they'll use for like autograph signings. There's nothing really to say here. Yeah, there's really nothing here for me that it's just kind of blah. I do like the little checkered along the side of the car. I think that looks good. They must not have any Ford support. They don't have a Ford logo on there, so that's kind of interesting. Looks like this is one of the cars they'll be driving. Kitty Cat coin. Think what you want about the crypto sponsorships still. I think most of them are all these little cryptos. I think they're all probably not going to go very well, but I could be proven wrong. I hope I'm wrong for the sake of the teams. These cars, they look pretty good. I like the use of the rocket ship kind of working its way through the car, and it creates that line through the front fender. I think that looks really good, actually. I don't know what the rocket ship has to do with a kitty cat, but I do think these two cars look pretty solid. I prefer the black one with the yellow accents. 7 out of 10. The one for Gase, probably a 6. I think just the black front of the car looks better. And it's on the Supra. That's probably one of the better body styles for Xfinity right now. We'll go back here. Now we're on to the 38 car for front row. More iRacing renders. The truck, I'm not really going to talk about that. I just think the truck's boring. It's just boring. Let's be honest here. It looks cheap. It looks kind of phoned in. I know every Speedy Cash car looks like that, so I'm not going to put that on the designer. I think that's more so corporate branding wanting a certain look. I think the Cup car, though, I know it's an iRacing picture, but I think that looks pretty good. It's really simple and it's really understated with like the polka dots on it, but I really like how it flows together. You don't always have to have a lot on a car for it to look good, and I think they did a great job with this one for the logos, how they use all the space, and this one just works well for me. I'm gonna give it a 7, but that's only because I haven't seen it on track, and I think it's important to see them on track. So I'm giving them loose ratings. They could go up or down. Ones where I really think the render is hurt the presentation of it. I thought those are the ones I'm not giving a rating, but I think this one's decent enough to where it's going to fall into that 7 to 8 range. Let's keep going here. Oh, we don't need to look at the truck. RSS Racing. I don't know what this is. So this must be kind of a satellite team. I don't know why there's two of them. It's a cup car. This one looks really good, actually. I really like this. I think, I don't know why I have it in a separate folder. Maybe I screwed something up. I think this looks really good. I love the blue and the yellow, the way that flows. This is a solid looking car. I'm going to give this one an 8. I haven't seen the other side. I assume it just says Black's tire on the hood. But this one looks really good. Oh, and this is probably the one that this was going for. This is the Xfinity car. I'd say it looks okay. I don't like incorporating the American flag into paint schemes, mainly for the fact that it's against what like the technical rules for the flag are, and honestly, it gets kind of tacky. So they understated it a little bit here. So I think the stars work in this sense. It does break up the black, white, and blue, or the black, white, and red, like I've talked about quite a bit in this video. So it's a 6 out of 10. It's not gonna look great, I don't think. It's just kind of gonna be there, but it's a decent looking car. And the iRacing picture here is actually pretty good too. So it's solid, but it's not something to write home about, in my opinion. 39 RSS Racing. I like this one. This is really cool. I didn't know that's what Seek's team was called, but that makes sense. Yeah, this 10 out of 10. I just gotta say it's 10 out of 10. That crystallized gloss on the blue looks really good on the hood. The line work is really clean and consistent. I don't love the number font that this team has. It's really, really just plain. Kind of reminds me of like a default iRacing number. But I can set that aside still and still give this car a 10. I think it looks really good. I think this one will look really good under the lights too. All right, let's do one thing here real quick. We got those to done. All right. Right now we're on to the 40 truck for Nice Motorsports. I like it. I want to see this one on track. I think the render is a good render, but like I want to know how like those darker, those lighter grays on top of the black come out. But I think this is pretty solid. I'd give this one probably an 8 out of 10. I think it looks pretty good. I just don't know how much is being added from the render. They've done a lot to kind of spruce it up a little bit. It actually looks like it's a Pixelsaurus template. Yeah, it is. So I think it's gonna look good. I want to see this one on the track. Yeah, I think that's where I want to leave that one. But yeah, 8 out of 10. But some of the Nice trucks I've noticed, like they'll post these really cool looking renders, like when they had Connor Daly driving for them, and the truck shows up to the track, and like there's just not as much definition to it as in the picture, and it's just kind of overall disappointing. So we'll move on here to Cole Custer, same kind of rendering, and the reason I talked about how much I like the renders, and I know we've seen enough Stuart Haas cars to where like we know that what they show us is how it's actually going to look, which is nice. It's not being overdone in the render here. The Haas, it really hasn't changed much since last year. I like the kind of the motion lines through through the gray. I think that looks really good. But I don't know. The Haas cars are, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too much F1, but I see Haas on a car now, and I just think it's going to be slow. So, but aside from that, looking at the design, I'd say this one's a 7-ish out of 10. Maybe a 6. I like the black and red ones better, actually, for the Haas cars, because it fits the branding a little better, I think. But this looks pretty good, too. Moving on to the 42 car for Petty GMS. That's a show car. Looks decent. Looks good. I don't really want to talk about that one. The Black Rifle Coffee car, despite him running into everything at the Clash, I do actually really like how this car looks. The way the pattern is on the background, it the whole brand is taken over the car, and it's just one where it really works and it really looks good. I'm actually going to give this one a 9 out of 10. I don't think the Petty font looks great on the car, but I understand why it's there for the numbers. I understand why it's there. It's part of the brand. That's one of those things you can't really avoid. And that's just the render for the Stroll car again. Going on to Eric Jones. I liked last year's Force car better. This one does look really, really good. I think it'll probably be more of a matte color when it comes out in real life. So I think that'll add to it a little bit. I think the U.S. Air Force is written too small over the wheel arch. I think that could be quite a bit bigger, but I'd still give this car an 8 out of 10. It's got the rivets. It kind of looks like it could take off and fly away. And that's exactly what they were going for. So it does achieve what it's trying to do. I just think as far as like the branding goes, if the size of the logos, you could do a little bit more. But that's honestly sometimes a little bit nitpicky, and I'll admit that. But it's good overall. I think it's an 8. I don't know what focus factor is. I tried looking it up. It looked like a scam to me. So I hope their check cleared for this. But this car looks great. The green, the blue, the bright orange on the roof. I really like that. This car was probably the first one that came out. Maybe the second one that came out that showed really good work done with moving the number forward and using the entire side of the car for the branding. I'm going to give this one a 9 out of 10. I really like it. It looks great on track. I hope they do an STP car again like they did last year. Or the Armor All car, because that one, it looked good. Alpha Prime. This car, it's very modern. The design on it's very modern. And I think that actually kind of hurts it. I don't like that, like the gradient in the background of all the little different ovals or the circles and the shapes. I think it's a little distracting. But I just realized that could be what the packaging is for this pre-workout stuff as well. So if that's what the packaging looks like, I understand why they transfer it over like that. But it's just not my taste personally. I think I would give this one a 6 out of 10. It might look better on track. It is just a render, so maybe take that with a grain of salt. Here's the next one. The Corvette Parts Car. Actually, I really like this one. The red contrasts the gray and the black really well. I want to give this one an 8. I think I want to give this one an 8. There's not really anything that's popping out at me that I don't like. The logo on the deck lid is a little ugly, but that looks like it's some like local business that's sponsoring them, so let's not derail the car's rating for that. But I'd give that one an 8 out of 10 for sure. This reminds me a lot of one of the the old Haas, like the Haas automation car that Daniel Suarez drove. But that's not a bad thing. I do really like this one actually. It's a little plain, but I think I don't know. It's one of those paint schemes where it always looks like it's moving. So I think that adds a lot to it. This one's going to look really good on track too. So I think I'll give this one probably another 7 or an 8. This one deserves an 8, I think. just based on the less is more kind of look to it. I think that complements the paint. On to 45 Alpha Prime. This one kind of reminds me of the car for Jeb Burton. It looks like this is just a one-off race for this paint scheme. It looks good. It's nothing that really excites me too much. It'll get the job done. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. There's not really much there that I think that, like I said, there's just not a lot of there that excites me. And I'm trying to find something about it. I like the pattern in the background of the white. That might be the one really redeeming factor of this paint is the white on it. And the gray ghosted in. I think that's the logo that's on the hood. That looks pretty good. But other than that, it's just a basic Xfinity car to me. There's not much to it. On to Kurt Buscheloff. There's not a lot here to work with, to be completely honest. Monster is very strict about their branding. Matte black, glossy logos, send it on the track. And I like that. I like the brand consistency, even if it is a little bit boring. I think it's been changed since then. I think the number needs to be moved up just a little bit. So, like, the top of the 5 is about where the Monster logo, like, where that little tip is on the M. But other than that, I love the red interior on this. I think that looks really cool. I hope they keep that. But I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. Mainly for the fact that there's just not a lot of design to it. And I'm rating the designing as I see it. So, but the matte black on the Camry, it looks good. It's like the Harvick or the other cars I mentioned, where it's gonna look good every time you see it. There just might not be a lot to it. On to, oh my god, this car gets worse every time I look at it. The Ally car last year was my favorite car, hands down. Great. I loved it. This one, they just missed it, dude. The Chevy logo, we know that's gone, so I'll ignore that. It's like the front of the car is really busy and has all of Ally's usual line work and how they repeat the logo. I didn't like it that at first when they first unveiled it with Johnson, but that part's actually grown on me. I just don't like how they did, but it's just not, it's really busy on the front and then there's nothing on the back. It just doesn't have a good balance to it. I don't like the fact that the Goodyear logo over the fender gets lost in the purple. I don't know why you wouldn't put an outline around that. But yeah, there's just not a lot to like for me with this paint scheme. Ally does a lot of paints throughout the year, so I'm sure there'll be some that are good. But it's just not calling to me. I don't think it looks good. 2 out of 10. The only redeeming factor for it is that the logo placement's good with the change, with the number forward. The Ally's really big on the side and the do-it-rights over the wheel. I think that looks really good. Also, and this isn't part of the rating, but there's tire smoke and the tires aren't moving. So that's like, I don't know. The tires should be spinning. Choosing my words carefully. Onto the money team. I don't know if I've ever seen somebody wearing pit vipers that doesn't look like an absolute douchebag. So that was kind of my first thought when I saw the car. It does look a little bit better on TV / in person, from what I've told and what I saw during the duels last night. But this is just ugly. It's just ugly. It looks like a unicorn threw up on it. Yeah, that's a 1 out of 10. bring it up from a 0 out of 10 before I saw it on TV. Clements Racing, 51 car. Can you say pandering? I mean, it's very clear, and I'm going to try not to be political, but, like, everyone's like, respect the flag, respect the flag, respect the flag, respect the flag, you know? And then you go and paste it on a car like this. Ouch. I hit my elbow on the thing there. You're not supposed to do that. You're really not supposed to do that. It's part of the rules for the flag. It's not hard to find this. And then they throw it on the car with the texture behind it that makes it look like it's like weathered. It looks bad. The logo on the hood looks bad. This just isn't a good looking car. 1 out of 10, really. It's just not good looking. I hope they kind of drop the flag look. I understand why they do it. I got no problem with being patriotic. But, like, when you do it, you got to do it right. And when you do it, you got to do it respectfully. And that's just... It just kind of looks like pandering to me. Just throwing an entire American flag over the car. I just don't like it. So 53, we saw these. Haven't had any thoughts change on that. Oh, I accidentally skipped Rick Ware. So this is where I was applauding their designer. Same with their IndyCar design for Sato this year. This just looks damn good. I just really like how these cars came out. I know having a pharmaceutical company on the car is, personally to me, I don't love it, but you got to work with what you have. These cars look good. They look really good. I like that they're not completely symmetrical with the racing stripe going up the hood. I like that it's different. I like that they didn't fuck around with the running the line behind the logo, and that they just put the box behind it. I do like it overall. And like I said, I do really like this. I'm gonna give this one an 8. The on-track car looks way better. I don't know if it's enough for a 9, but the on-track car just adds a little bit more that gives it that extra pop to me. And the Rick Ware designer is... I don't know if I've seen a Rick Ware car that looks bad, to be honest. It seems like when you're working with some smaller companies, there's a little bit more wiggle room in the branding and how it's put on the car, and that complements the paint schemes. And I'm excited to see this one on track again. MBM, almost there. It's a bummer this one didn't make the race. I do really like this one. I like the gradients. It reminds me of something that I would design. I would change a couple things on it. But this one overall is really solid. It's a real bummer it won't be in the 500. But I think you can easily give this one like a 9 out of 10. It's bright. It's to the point. The branding is perfect. They space it out around the vents. They put it over the wheel well, really well. It's just a bummer that they didn't make the race. Chrome numbers on the door too with the gradient and the outline. I think it looks really good. It's just a bummer that it won't be racing. On to Hill Motorsports. That's just a beach on a car. It looks very clip arty. I don't know. I don't have anything nice to say about it, so let's just leave it there. I think they're probably limited by their sponsor. They're going off of what that logo looks like. It doesn't work for a race car for me. Onto the Beard Motorsports car. Excuse me. This one's really good. It does have the flag in the background. And that is really, it is against what the rules for the flag are. But I'd say it's done a little bit more tastefully here. They're not trying to make it a flag car, I guess. It's more of an accent in the background, which I think works a little bit better. The number placement's good. I saw this one on track last night during the duels. I thought that looked good. This one's just solid overall. It's one that's going to look good every time it's on track. It's probably only going to be on track a few times this year, because I think they only run super speedways. But I give this one a 7 or 8 out of 10. I like the blue. I like the contrast between the white and the black. It does look good overall. This is another one. I thought, looking at Bumper.com's branding, they did a great job with this car. The whole car looks like it could be a logo for the company, and I think that looks really good. And I think that's probably exactly what they were going for, too. It's a bummer that this one didn't make the race either. Carl Long had a bad day yesterday, but this one's a good one. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, just like the other one. Or did I give the other one a 9? Either or. I think it looks good. I do really like it. When the car is the logo, you've done something right. And there's not a lot of brands you can do that with, so that's really cool that they made this work. Going on to 66. Looks like this is being run at Daytona for Timmy Hill. I don't think it looks bad. I don't think it's great either. I do, personally, I do really like the, I don't know if it's supposed to be like, I don't know what shape is in there, but the accenting in the black, I do really like that. I think that it looks a little empty, which might be just because it's underfunded team. But it's just kind of blah. There could be more done. But it's a solid car. It gets the job done. It's definitely not like worth a bad rating. I think it's probably worth like a 6 or a 7. I do like the contrast between the red and the blue. But I think there's just not enough going on to really pull the whole car together. I liked this car at the Clash. I thought I actually really wish his Xfinity car looked like this for Castle, because that teal and the purple, they bounce well off each other, and it gives some contrast, and I don't know, it's just one of those cars. It's got motion lines. It looks fast. Breaks up the purple again. This one I really like. I think he's only driving it once, which is a bummer. But this one overall turned out pretty good. I think I give this one a 7 out of 10. No. It looks like no. I don't like this one. This one's better. I like black and yellow is always going to look good. And I kind of saw this initially and thought it should say Mike's Hard Lemonade on it. So maybe that's a blessing and a curse. But overall, this is a decent one. I give this one another 7. It gets the job done. The branding's really good. Incorporating the branding into the side of the car if the number slid forward, I do think that looks good. It just, I don't know. I still think it needs a Mike's Hard Lemonade logo on it. It looks like it kind of reminds me of that. I know they used to have that I think in ARCA used to be a Mike's car. On to Dale Jr.'s Xfinity car. I didn't like this at first, but it has actually really grown on me. I do really like how this one looks. The blue and the yellow contrast really well. Hellman's is it's kind of an odd just for mayonnaise, the sponsor, but Hellman's is probably the better mayonnaise. So, but yeah, I think this car looks good. I wish there was a full picture of it. There it is. I think that looks really good. I'd maybe lose the little bow on the hood, the bow tie. But I mean, that's their branding. I don't think that's a big deal. And then we got this one. I think this is for Miguel Paludo. It's a Brandt car, and this shows that a Brandt car. Sorry, I was looking closer to see if they had the corn in there. This shows that a Brandt car can look good. I don't think the green really works with it. I understand it's flipped just so they don't blend in together on the racetrack. If it was like yellow or even like a bright blue, I think it'd look really cool. But the green doesn't work great for me, but it does still look good. I still want to give this one like a 7 or an 8, just because it doesn't have the corn in it, and without the corn, I think it looks better. On to Riley Herbst. I mean, it's basically Kurt Busch's car. It's got a few more logos on the back. What's it say? Oh, I don't know what that Tribbles. I don't know what that is. I think it looks good. It's a monster car, like I said. The number font, I've been kind of meh on that number font. It's better than the one they used prior. But it's a monster car. It's their branding. It gets the point across. 7 out of 10. It's a good looking car. And finally, we move into the Trackhouse cars. Another designer that needs to be applauded is the Trackhouse designer. I know I didn't like that orange car that Chastain ran at the Clash, but I think that was more of a branding, designing what the car looks like a little too much. I know this image is a little blurry. I don't know what I think Freeway is an insurance company. This just looks really good. It just looks really good. The number comes out from the design. There's enough of a border behind the entire number that none of the lines actually intrude the number itself, and then the lines intrude the number. There's been some problems with like some Hendrick cars in the past where like you could see a line going through like the little triangle inside of the 48, and that kind of stuff has always drove me bonkers, because it's so easy to just make it go away. This one's really good. It's I'm not crazy about the green. It does contrast really well with the blue. I might have said that, but it's gonna look good. I think it'll look good, and the color choice is just because of my taste, not because of the designer. The CommScope car. I wish we had a real picture of this one. I think it looks great. The rendering looks great. I think this will probably, once we see it on track, be an 8 or a 9. I really like the I don't know if it's fiber or what they're trying to get across with all the lines, with all the gradients, but I do think this looks really good. I'm excited to see it on track, but it'll probably be like a 7 or an 8 when we actually get pictures of it. That's the Freeway car from the Clash. I must have went back and saved that. Looks a lot better in person than the render does. I did notice that the number is actually moved quite a bit further forward, so I'm wondering if this render is pre-number forward. But yeah, it still gets the same point across. They did do that, what I was just talking about, where like you could see the design coming through the number. I don't like that. But it's still a 7 or an 8. And then we have the K1s, or the Tutsis car. I do really like this, but it needs one change. You can't do a texture that isn't like a metal-like texture on a race car. Having a race car with a brick on it, like the bricks, yeah, it just looks weird to me. I think if you turn all those bricks black and you had all of the purple and the pink speed lines going through, if you want to call it that, it would look S tier. It would look absolutely fantastic. But I think the bricks take away a little bit too much from this car. I'm still going to give it a 6 out of 10, just because the branding. I mean, when you're going off of somebody else's branding, you see the bar in the background there. I understand why they did what they did, and the execution of what they did does look really good. I just don't think it works for a race car. So that's where I'm a little bit torn on it. But I think this is his Daytona 500 scheme too, so I'm curious to see how this looks on track. I didn't catch this one watching the duel yesterday. So, and then this is the K1 speed car. I think this was just a testing car, but if you're gonna do black, red, and white, like this is the best. Like really, really good. I really, really like this. And Trackhouse is great with their designs, like I've said already a couple times. So, yeah, the actual pictures of this testing at Charlotte, I would give it a 10, really a 10 out of 10 in real life. I don't think the render does it any justice whatsoever. But it's still pretty good. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a little bit longer, a lot of rambling from me. I know I get a little opinionated with the designs, and that just comes from an aspect of being a designer and kind of knowing the process a little bit. But overall, the field looks really good. I didn't give a lot of like under 5 ratings, so I think that shows just the depth of talent there is in designing in NASCAR, just in general. Whether it's the in-house designers or the privateers or the guys that post their stuff on Twitter and then get some real life work as well. I think I'll do, like I said, I think I'll do one for the Indy 500 liveries around May, and then I'm going to do one for all the F1 cars too. Once, probably after testing, once we have pictures of everything, and we can really look at the cars from every angle. I think that's when we'll do that. But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope I didn't piss anybody off too much with some of my hot takes, but thanks for watching, and I'll see you on my next live stream or whatever.